Good morning to everyone and a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us in today's session, where we'll be having a discussion regarding funding for your future within the Defined Contribution Provident Fund at Rhodes University. I am Sinemba Saliwani. I am part of Member Education Services at Alexander Forbes, and I will be taking you through your Provident Fund with the Rhodes University. I do also have my colleague on the line, Nikki, who is the fund consultant for the Provident Fund. Together, we'll be tackling any questions that you might have with regards to today's discussion. So please do engage with us, ask as many questions as you would like to, so that when you leave today's session, you leave with a better understanding of what this Provident Fund is all about and what benefits do you also have in this Provident Fund. So a few guidelines for the webinar. Your cameras and your microphones have been disabled. However, you can engage with us via the Q&A button on the toolbar, and those questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. However, as I'm going along with the presentation, Nikki can also assist with those questions in the Q&A. So without wasting any time, we are going to start with our session. On our agenda, or what we'll be discussing, we will look at the Rhodes University Provident Fund, so a brief history of the fund. And then we're going to look at transferring into the fund, what contributions are made to the fund by you and also the employer. And then we're going to look at the benefits that are provided by the fund. We're also going to take a look at your money in the fund. Now, in that section, that is where we're going to be analyzing where are you invested and what choices do you have when it comes to investing your retirement savings. And then we're going to look at the financial tools to help you when it comes to planning for your retirement. And lastly, we're going to look at the questions. But like I said, as I go along with the presentation, you're more than welcome to engage with us via the Q&A, and Nikki will be able to assist those questions.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Nikki.
Thanks, Sinabasa. I just wanted to say hello.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Nikki. Like I said, Nikki is the fund consultant, and she'll also be assisting throughout this presentation. So retirement is all about your journey to a lifetime of financial well-being. Now, when you're planning for retirement, it is important to know exactly where you are going so that you can work on how you are going to get there. I always say going on retirement is like going on holiday. You have different destinations because each and every individual is different. So each and everyone has a different destination in mind as to where they'd like to go to. Now, to be able to get to your destination, you need to plan thoroughly while you are still working. You need to know how much it's going to cost you for accommodation, how much transportation is going to cost you, and any other related expenses. So I always say it's like going on holiday. Now, that is the same with retirement. You need to know and have a clear picture of where you'd like to be when you are retired so that you can start working on that picture while you are still working. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into planning for retirement. Your contributions play a part. The age at which you go on retirement also plays a part when it comes to how your retirement will be. So it's very important to have a solid plan in place so that you can work on how you are going to get there. Now, about the Rhodes University Provident Fund, it was established in 1995 as a defined contribution provident fund. It's a separate legal entity and it is sponsored by the employer. The assets as of 30 September 2021 were about 485 million. So it's definitely a very large fund, also very well established. It's been around since 1995. The membership as of 30 September 2021, it was about 665 members. Now the fund is managed by a board of trustees. The board of trustees are responsible for making decisions within this fund. They are also responsible for making decisions when it comes to paying out your benefits should you pass away while you are still a member of this fund. They are also responsible for decisions such as what portfolios do you have access to or where can you be invested. Now, 50% of those trustees are elected by you as the member, and 50% will be elected by the employer. The term of office is 3 years, and the next election will be the third quarter of 2022. That is just a brief history of the fund, and now we're going to get into transferring into this Rhodes University Provident Fund. So this is how the transfer process is going to work out, or this is a brief overview of the transfer. For those members who elect to transfer their reserve value that they have in the pension fund to the Provident Fund with effect from the 1st of April 2021, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, which is FSCA in short, must approve that transfer. Now, the transfer can take some time to be approved. So it's not something that can happen very quickly. It takes some time. Once the transfer is approved, your money will then be paid into the new fund with the investment return from the date of that transfer. Should you leave before the transfer is approved, your money will be paid from both funds, meaning the pension and also the provident. Therefore, you would need to complete or to submit claim forms for both funds. I'll just repeat that.
Yes, sorry about that. I just want to confirm the effective date is 1st of April 2022. So that is a typo. Apologies for that.
Okay, no problem. I also just want to repeat so that it's clear for everyone. So the effective date is 1st of April 2022. The transfer has to be approved by FSCA, and it can take some time. And once you transfer, your money will be paid into the new fund with the investment return from the date of transfer. And if you leave before that transfer is approved, then your money will be paid from both funds, which is the pension and the provident. Therefore, you would need to complete forms or submit forms for both funds. That is the transfer process. Hopefully it's clear and easy for everyone to understand. But if you're not clear on that, you're more than welcome to pose a question in the Q&A section. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritties of the fund, and we're going to look at the contributions that are made to this Rhodes Provident Fund. This is the contribution structure. The employer contribution is 15%. The employee contribution is 7.50%. Now, there are costs that have to be deducted, and those costs amount to 3.7874%. They are for fund management and also the risk benefits that you have in this fund. Once those costs have been deducted, whatever is remaining or the balance will then be allocated towards your retirement savings. So it's not the full 15% that goes towards your retirement savings. There are costs that have to be deducted, and once those have been deducted, whatever is remaining will then be invested towards your retirement. Now, as a member, you do have an option to make additional voluntary contributions to the Provident Fund. So should you feel that you would like to save more towards your retirement, or you'd like to contribute more, you are allowed to do so. You can make additional voluntary contributions with pre-tax money to the fund. Whatever amount you make is an additional contribution. As it is, that money will go towards your retirement savings. There are no costs or deductions on those additional voluntary contributions. Now, for contributions you make to retirement funds, SARS does give you a deduction or a tax relief up to 27.5% or 350,000, whichever is greater. And if you get a tax deduction, it means that the tax liability would reduce. So that is an added advantage or a relief that you would receive from SARS for any contributions you make to retirement funds in a particular tax year. You choose how much extra you want to pay to the fund. So there's no specific amount for the additional contributions, but it's just a facility for you that has been provided to be able to make additional contributions should you want to save more towards your retirement. Now, this includes your contributions to the fund as well. So for that tax deduction that you would receive, it includes all contributions that you have made in that particular tax year to any retirement savings vehicle. It's just an added benefit or a relief for you. It's sort of a motivation as well to save more towards retirement. We are done with the contributions. We are now going to look at the benefits that are provided to you by the fund. So firstly, it is your fund credit, which is your savings in the fund. Now, your fund credit is made up of any money you transferred from other funds. It's also made up of employer contributions after costs for the risk benefits and administration fees have been deducted. It's also made up of your contributions as well. That would include the additional voluntary contributions. And then over and above that, it's also made up of investment returns. So as you know, your retirement savings are invested so that you can earn growth or you can see returns on those savings. So that would form part of your fund credit, and we refer to that as the savings that you have in the fund. Now, that is the first benefit that you have. You would receive this benefit should you retire, should you resign, should you be retrenched, should you be dismissed, or should you pass away. It would then go to your beneficiaries. Firstly, let's look at retirement or withdrawal from the fund. So when you are going on retirement, your full fund benefit would be paid to you from the fund, which is the savings or the fund credit that we just looked at. Your normal retirement date is the last day of the year in which you reach the age of 65. However, you can take early retirement from the age of 55 with your employer's consent. You can also retire later if you continue to be employed and the employer agrees to this. You can also defer your retirement from the fund to a later date, even though you retire from your employer. So when you defer your retirement, it would be a case whereby you don't necessarily need access to your retirement savings right away. Therefore, you defer or you put your retirement on hold, and then at a later date, when you decide to, you can then retire from the fund. Your withdrawal, which is when you are resigning, you are dismissed, or you are retrenched, your full fund benefit would be paid to you. You have several options when you are resigning, retrenched, and dismissed as to how you want to receive your money. So you can elect to take the full benefit in cash or to take a portion of the benefit in cash, or you can also elect to remain invested or to transfer to another retirement fund. Now, again, it's important that when you are making such decisions, you do sit down with a financial planner who can assist you with regards to what can you do with your retirement savings, how can you preserve your retirement savings, and also if you are considering taking cash, what are the taxation implications that are going to come with that decision. As members of the fund, you do have access to our financial planners. You don't have to pay any fee, so it's absolutely free. You can sit down with the financial planners and they can be able to provide you with financial advice when you have to make such decisions with regards to your retirement savings. But you have a number of options that are available to you when you are leaving the employer before retirement. Now let's look at the importance of saving for retirement or preserving your retirement benefits. So what happens is most people, when they leave a company, so either they are resigning or they are dismissed or they are being retrenched, what they tend to do is they tend to take their retirement savings in cash. But now the effect of that is when you get to retirement, your value of your retirement savings will be much lower. It will be reduced, which means that you might actually have a shortfall or you might not be able to enjoy your retirement because you don't have enough income to sustain your day-to-day living expenses. So this is the effect of non-preservation. Looking at this graph, we're going to look at, let us say that you started saving at the age of 31, and then at the age of 41, you resigned or you left a company for whatever reason, and you decided to take cash. Had you not taken any cash, had you preserved your retirement savings at the age of 41, you would have had a net replacement ratio of 76% at retirement. What that basically means is, in simple terms, that you would have been able to replace the salary that you were earning by at least 76% using your retirement savings. However, if at the age of 41, you do not preserve when you are leaving a company, it means that now your retirement savings have actually reduced. Now, looking at that graph, if you don't preserve at the age of 41, your retirement savings net replacement ratio would be 48%, meaning that you would only be able to replace about 48% of the salary you were earning with your retirement savings. So as you can see, non-preservation actually reduces the net replacement ratio at retirement. Now, if you were earning, for example, 10,000 and you can only replace 48% of that, it means that you might not be able to sustain your day-to-day living expenses, which is why we always say it is very important to preserve your retirement savings so that when you get to retirement, you are able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You are not stressed out, or you don't have to continue working because you don't have enough income to sustain or to maintain your standard of living. So again, looking at this graph, if you started saving at the age of 31, age of 36, you leave a company for whatever reason, and you decide that you're not going to preserve your retirement savings, it means that your net replacement ratio has now reduced to 62%. So that is the effect of non-preservation. But like I said, when you're making such decisions, it's important to sit down with a financial planner. They'll be able to provide you with financial advice and also outline for you what the taxation implications will be when you make such a decision. Now, another benefit you have in the fund is the death benefit. Should you pass away, the fund would pay 4 times your annual pensionable salary plus your fund credit to your beneficiaries. Now, it's very important to understand that when this benefit is paid out, it is paid in terms of Section 37C of the Pension Funds Act, which means that your beneficiary nomination form is key, or that is what the trustees use as a guideline to pay out this benefit. So it's very important to always keep those beneficiary nomination forms updated. Should you have any life-changing event, you get married, you get divorced, you have another child, someone that you nominated passes away, please ensure you update those beneficiary nomination forms, because if it is not up to date and should you pass away, the trustees now have to start from scratch and do a thorough investigation as to who were your dependents. And that process can take up to 12 months. So if you were the sole provider in your family and they now have to wait or be without an income for a period of 12 months, what are they going to do? So it's very important to keep the forms updated. You can get the forms from your HR person. Once you're done completing the forms, you submit them back to your HR for safekeeping. They are absolutely confidential and they will be used to pay out your death benefit. You can also update the beneficiary forms on AF Online, but we always say that to be safe, it's always important to also give a hard copy to your HR person for safekeeping. But please always update those forms. They are very important, and that is what is used to pay out your death benefit that you have in the fund. Should you become disabled, you do have disability benefits. Now, the disability benefit would be 75% of your monthly pensionable salary up to a maximum benefit per month. It would increase by lesser of CPI, which is inflation, or 5% each and every year. There is a waiting period, which is 6 months before you can actually receive the benefit. Now, for disability definition, or to be able to claim for disability, you would have to be unable to do your own or similar occupation for the first 24 months. Thereafter, any other alternative occupation. The benefit would be paid out to you tax-free because the monthly premium is taxed as a fringe benefit. So that is the disability benefit that you have in the fund. It is 75%, but increases each and every year by inflation of 5%. We are done with the benefits. So I'm just going to give a brief summary. It is your fund credit, your death benefit, and your disability benefit. Those are the benefits you have in the fund. We are now going to look at your money in the fund. Now, in this section, this is where we're going to be analyzing the investment side of your retirement savings. Now, there is a default option where you can be invested, but there's also member individual choice. The reason why you do have a choice of portfolios that you can choose from is because our financial needs are all different. Also, our risk appetites when it comes to investing, they are also different. Our investment styles are also different. So if you as a member, you don't want to be in the default portfolio, you are able to choose from other portfolios that are available to you. But again, when you're making changes with regards to portfolios, it is important to sit down with financial planners who will be able to give you more detail when it comes to those portfolios. The automatic allocation or the default option for investment is the life stage model. Now, when you are in the default portfolio, there's no further input that is required from you as a member. This is how the default option work or the life stage model work. It goes according to your age or your retirement age. For members who are still younger and have longer investment returns, they are invested predominantly in growth assets, which means high growth exposure. For older members who generally would want stability to allow for retirement planning, or for those members who are close to retirement, exposure to capital protected asset classes. So high exposure, meaning that investment volatility is reduced as you get closer to your retirement age. Now, if the investment volatility is reduced, it means that you are not so exposed to the risk in the markets. And should anything happen, like maybe a market crash, or should there be any negative returns in the financial markets, it means that at least you are protected because you are not so exposed to that risk. And the reason for that is because you are closer to retirement. And what we are trying to do is to ensure that as you get closer to retirement, your savings and whatever returns you have earned throughout your investment period are protected or are preserved for retirement. Now, when you are younger, let us say you are at the age of 30 and you are only going to retire at the age of 65. When you are younger, you still have a longer investment term. You still have a lot of time before retirement. Therefore, if you are exposed to market volatility, you still have time to stomach those market fluctuations. You still have time to wait for markets to recover should there be any negative returns, which is why you would be invested in those growth assets. Now, the growth assets over a long term, they provide you with the highest return, which is why as well, it would make sense that when you are younger and you still have a longer investment term, you would be mainly invested in those growth assets. So the default option, you don't have to provide any further input. You are just invested and you wait for retirement. But like I said, should you not want to be in the default, there are other choices or portfolio choices that you can choose from. Now, looking at this, we're going to look at the default investment strategy, which is the life stage model. Like I said, the age or your retirement age is very important, because as you get closer to retirement, you are transitioned into a portfolio where you are not so exposed to market volatility. Now, these are the different portfolios. You have performer portfolio, you have 62.5% equity, you have medium equity, you have 37.5% equity, and then lastly, you have low equity. Now, looking at this table, when you are less than the age of 56 years, you are 100% in performer portfolio. Between the ages of 56 to 58, you are then transitioned into 62.5% equity. 61 to 62 years, 37.5% equity, and then over the age of 62, 100% in low equity. So it goes according to your retirement age. As you get closer to retirement, you are transitioned into a portfolio where you don't have much exposure, or the exposure to market volatility is reduced. That is the default. Now, you as a member, you do have investment choice. Like I said, our risk appetites are different, our investment styles are also different, and our financial goals when it comes to retirement are also different. So you do have a choice, or you have options of portfolios that you can choose from, which will be best suitable for your personal needs. These would be the portfolios. You have your performer spectrum, you have your high equity, 62.5% equity, medium equity, low equity, and then you have your banker as well. Now, again, like I said, when it comes to investing and portfolios, it can be very confusing, or it can be a very complex subject, which is why you have access to our financial planners that are there to assist you and provide you with more details when it comes to the portfolio, so that you are able to choose portfolios that are suitable for your financial needs. On the left side, if you look on that block which says risk profile, higher risk and higher expected return over the long term. So that would be the portfolios right at the top, and then lower risk and lower expected return over the long term, and that would be the portfolios at the bottom. Again, before making any decisions, please sit down with a financial planner. But you do have access to alternative portfolios if you don't want to be in that default, which is the life stage model. The trustees are introducing further member investment choice portfolios. So you should be on the lookout for these early in 2022. All this would be communicated to you once there are any changes, but they are looking at further investment choice portfolios that you can choose from, because our personal needs, our financial goals, and risk appetites, like I said, are very different. Now we're going to analyze the gross investment returns, and these returns are 30 September 2021. We're going to be looking at high equity, medium equity, performer as well. Now, performer has been highlighted in green because that is the default portfolio. When we are analyzing the returns, we are going to be analyzing the 10-year period. The reason why we go for the longer investment term is because your retirement savings is also a long-term investment. You don't invest for retirement over 6 months or over a year. It is a long-term investment. Some people start investing from as early as the age of 25 and only retire at the age of 65. So that's a very long time. But looking at performer, the return, these are annual returns. The return over a 10-year period was 12.44%. If you look at high equity, it was 10.98%. Medium equity was 10.07%, and then spectrum was 11.04%, and lastly, banker was around 7.44%. Now, these are definitely good returns, despite the pandemic and the negative effect or impact that it had on most investments. This is a very good picture when it comes to the investment performance. Like I said, if you have any questions, please do post them in the Q&A, and Nikki will be able to assist. or you can pose them at the end of the session, and then we can tackle those questions together. I believe this is the last slide for investment returns and your money in the fund. We are now going to look at what financial tools can you use to assist yourself when it comes to retirement savings or planning for retirement. Firstly, you have AF Online. Now that is Alexander Forbes Online. That is where you can register. That is where you can see your investment balances. That is where you can use our tools such as budgeting tools, tax tools, retirement projection tools. All those are available for you on AF Online. There's also education material on AF Online on estate planning, on retirement planning, on life cover needs. There's a lot of education material that you can read through, but also there's tools that you can use to that can assist you when it comes to retirement planning. You would have to register, and then once you are registered, you would then have access to your profile. There's also Alexander Forbes mobile app. You can download it on the Play Store, on the Apple Store. On the app, your fund value is updated on a daily basis. Again, you can see your benefit statements. You can see your investment balances. There's also media section and products section. You can also talk to us via the app. There's short-term insurance policy details as well. So there's a range or a variety of things that you can get from AF Online and also the AF mobile app. For those people who don't have smartphones, we do have an AF USSD. You can enjoy the quick and easy experience where you get access to your retirement savings and also your investment balances. Now, because you are invested, your investment balance would fluctuate on a daily basis. That is because you are invested in the markets, you are invested in different asset classes, which is why you'll see the fluctuation. So when you log in, let us say, for example, today on AF Online or on the mobile app, or when you dial the USSD and your retirement savings are, for example, 100,000, and the following day or the following week, when you log in, they are 98,000. Please do not panic. It is because you are invested in the markets, therefore they will fluctuate. So on a day-to-day basis, there is an update when it comes to your fund value. But over the long term, and because retirement savings is also a long-term investment, over the long term, you would see positive returns. So those are the tools that are there to assist you when it comes to your retirement savings. There's also a My Money Matters toolkit that is there to help you in growing your financial well-being. Now, the toolkit includes videos and brochures on joining, leaving, and retiring from your employer, as well as any other money matters. So should you be faced with a decision whereby you are maybe leaving the employer for whatever reason, or you are going on retirement and you would like to know what are your options, the My Money Matters toolkit can assist you with that and any other financial or money matters. So if you do have access to Wi-Fi or mobile data, you can find out more on our website, or you can actually contact the My Money Matters Center. So the website would be alexanderforbes.co.za/mymoneymatters. /Money Matters, and then you can contact My Money Matters Center on 0860 000 381, or you can email mymoneymatters@aforbes.com. Over and above that, you also have retirement benefit counseling, which in short is RBC. Now, we strongly believe that if members receive the right information at the right time, they are able to make the right decision. So retirement benefit counseling is all about receiving that information and advice at the right time. We would provide you with counseling before any decisions are made. So let us say, for example, you are leaving the employer or you are retiring from the employer. We would provide you with that retirement benefit counseling so that you understand what are your options when you are going on retirement. It's also better decision support. As a result of that, There's increase in savings contributions, and it also assists in ensuring that members actually preserve or keep their retirement savings invested. Basic RBC, which is basic retirement benefit counseling, would be relevant information and meaningful explanations when it comes to the options that you have when you're starting a job, or as an active member when you are leaving a job, or when you are preparing for retirement. It can be written communication, it can be telephonic, it can be a group training, or it can be digital electronic communication. We also have enhanced RBC. Now, enhanced RBC would also involve financial advice. So over and above receiving the information, you would also receive financial advice. So it is personal help with understanding options and seamless transition into financial advice if the member does need the financial advice. Again, this is an added benefit just to ensure that you as a member, you are able to make decisions well informed and also understanding what options you have when you are joining or when you are leaving a company, and also the taxation implications that might come with making any decisions when it comes to your retirement fund. I always go back to taxation implications because that is also part and parcel of retirement savings. And it's important for members to understand that anytime you take cash from retirement savings, there will be taxation implications. Now, it's important that we always try and emphasize that because some members may not understand. So that is why I always go back to the taxation implications, because that is what is also important when you are making these decisions. Now, again, getting ready to retire is something that you need to be very prepared for. It's something that you need to ensure that you have financial goals in place, or you have clear objectives in place, or you have a clear picture so that it's easy for you to actually get or to actually plan on how you are going to get there. And like I said, your contributions, the decisions you make when you leave a company, those will all contribute to the value that you receive when you eventually go on retirement. Now, for this retirement picture, we have what we call on AF Online a retirement projection tool, or a projection statement. Now, a projection statement is there to give you a snapshot of where you are relative to your retirement goals. So the projection statement, you would go on AF Online, you would put in all the details that are required, and then it would give you a clear picture as to whether you are on track for your retirement goals or you can expect to have a shortfall. Now, these are the assumptions that are used on that projection statement. It only uses fund assets, the fund contribution rate, and also the normal retirement age of the fund. It also assumes that the full fund credit would be used to buy a pension. Now, the annuity rate varies depending on market conditions. Annuity increases target 75% of inflation. It also does provide for spouses' pension and also has a 5-year guarantee. The projected returns that you would receive on that projection statement would be an unfavorable one, an expected one, and also a favorable environment. So it would give you 3 scenarios whereby you can see how much you can expect to receive as an income when you go on retirement, or how far you are relative to your retirement goals in an expected environment, in a favorable environment, or in an unfavorable environment. Now, those returns are based on the performance on the fund, or the performance over time while you are invested. It's a very nice tool that you can use for yourself to see how far am I when it comes to my retirement goals. Let us say, for example, you know that you want to retire at the age of 55. And you want to see, with the fund credit that I have, and if I retire at the age of 55, how much can I expect as an income? So you can go on the projection tool, put in your details, put in the options that you want, like you want to retire at the age of 55 and you are invested in whatever portfolio, and then it will give you a very clear picture of what you can expect if you take retirement at the age of 55. And then based on that picture, you can then see for yourself if you are on track, if you would have a shortfall, or if you would actually have a surplus. So it's a very nice tool to use if you ever are wondering where are you relative to your retirement goals. A reminder of future events that are going to be taking place on the 17th of January, 10 to 11 a.m. It would be investment planning. And then 16 March 2022, 10 to 11 a.m. again, it would be my retirement picture. That is where we would also be analyzing the projection statement or the projection tool. And then on the 13th of April 2022, again, 10 to 11 a.m., it would be understanding savings options. Now, in that session, we would be analyzing asset classes, the investment process, the types of investment risk, and also retirement investment structures that are available to you as an individual. 18th of May 2022, again, 10 to 11 a.m. That is a session where we'll be discussing wills and nomination of beneficiary forms, which I did explain earlier. That is very important because that is the guideline that the trustees use to pay out your benefits should you pass away. So we would be analyzing Section 37C of the Pension Funds Act and what it's all about. And also we would look at the definition of dependents. So who would the trustees consider as your dependent? So please be on the lookout for those future events where we'll be discussing all those topics. Again, that is where you can actually engage with us and ask as many questions as you would like to. Over and above the other tools that are there to assist you, you do have our financial planners absolutely free because you are a member of the fund, and they are there to assist you with your overall financial well-being or your retirement goals. Now we have come to the end of the session, but before I start looking at the questions and also allowing Nikki a few moments to speak as well, a recording of the webinar will be made available to you and will be accessible on the Rhodes University Pension Fund information site, which is www.rupensionfund.co.za. We did have some technical problems with regarding to loading the town hall recording on the website. We do apologize for that, and we will inform you as soon as the webinars are available for you to view, but this one will be on that pension fund site. Thank you, Nikki. Are there any questions in the chat box?
Thank you so much, Srinivasa, for taking us through. Sorry, you just need to mute on your side.
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking us through the benefits applicable to the Provident Fund, so the Rhodes University Provident Fund. I have addressed all questions. Apart from Nikki has a question, she would like you to re-show the life stage model slide. So she wants you to just take members through that slide again, specifically showing the ages in which the down weighting happens, please. And then while you're just getting the slides back on, John has noted that assuming that members switch to the Provident Fund, please note that all members will be joining the Provident Fund from 1st of April 2022. So you are 100% correct in that your benefit up to 1st of March 2022, you can let that stay in the pension fund or elect for that to remain in the pension fund. However, for your future contributions and future benefits, irrespective of whether you transfer or leave that in the pension fund, you will belong to the Provident Fund. Then I'm going to hand over to you, and mute on my side, but I will monitor the chat in case there are any more questions that are coming up. Thanks, Sinabasa.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. So I will go through the slide again, but I just want to maybe start by explaining what the default investment strategy is all about, or the default portfolio, which is the life stage model. So it goes according to your retirement age. When you are still younger, you have much more exposure to the markets, but also that means that you have a higher probability of getting the highest return over the long term. However, when you are getting closer to retirement, because we don't want you to be so exposed to market volatility, because that comes with a lot of risk, you are then transitioned into a much safer portfolio, which would be your low equity or your medium equity or 37.5% equity. So as you get closer to your retirement age, you are transitioned into those portfolio where you are not so exposed to market volatility, so that your retirement savings can be preserved, and whatever returns you earned while you were still working or still contributing to the fund are preserved for retirement. Because what we wouldn't want is for someone who's at the age of 64 to be very exposed to market volatility, and then something unexpected happens, or the markets do not perform as well as predicted and they have negative returns. It means that that person who's now close to retirement will be affected negatively when it comes to their retirement savings. And because they are closer to retirement, they won't have time to actually wait for the markets to recover and produce positive returns, because they are already at the finish line. They are already at retirement. But for someone who's at the age of 30, that person, even if there are negative returns, they still have time to stomach those fluctuations. They still have time to wait for the markets to recover and produce positive returns. So that is how your investment or your retirement savings would be allocated when it comes to the default strategy, which is the life stage. Now, looking at this table, at the top, you have the different portfolios in that life stage model. You have the performer portfolio, you have the 62.5% equity portfolio, you have the medium equity portfolio, you have 37.5% equity, and then lastly, you have low equity. When you are still younger than 56 years, you would be invested in the performer portfolio 100%. Now, the performer portfolio, again, is where you would have much exposure to the markets, which means that may come with volatility, but over the long term, you have the probability of earning the highest return. 56 to 58 years, you are then transitioned into the 62.5% equity. Now, the exposure to market volatility is reduced, because remember, you are now getting closer to retirement age. From the age of 59 to 60, you are transitioned again into medium equity portfolio. 61 to 62 years, you are transitioned into 37.5% equity portfolio. When you are over the age of 62, you are now in a low equity portfolio. If you are in a low equity portfolio, it means that you don't have much exposure to market volatility. Your retirement savings are preserved, and any returns that you have earned over the years are also preserved, because again, what we don't want is to expose you to market volatility, and that impacts you negatively, and you don't have time to actually wait for those markets to recover because you are closer to retirement. So that is how the default would work. That transition, you don't have to provide any further input as the member, because most members usually ask me this question, that when I get to age 56, do I now need to call Alexander Forbes and ask them to transition me into a safer portfolio? No, you do not have to. You don't have to provide any further input when you are in the default. This is just to give you a brief outline of how the default portfolio works, but you as a member, you don't have to provide any further input. Hopefully that addresses the question, Nikki.
Thank you so much. I haven't had any further comments. Yes, Nikki has confirmed that it has addressed the query. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no further comments on the chat. Nikki, you asked if a member can enter at a lower level. That's where the member investment choice comes into play. So Nambasa, can you just move to the next slide? So you would be able to choose any other investment option, even at the lower level that you refer to in the life stage model. The only difference is once you move into an member investment choice portfolio, it's no longer down weighting the equity exposure on an automatic basis based on your age. You are then managing this, whether you're managing it with a financial planner or not. You will physically have to fill in a switch form to move your portfolio further. Okay, Nikki's happy with that. Thank you. There's no further queries from the chat. I just want to confirm that the recording will be uploaded. We are having an issue loading the prior recording with regard to the town hall presentation. Our IT department is communicating with the Rhodes University information restructuring site in order to resolve that upload. As soon as it has been uploaded, we will be sending out an email to members to let you know that it has been uploaded. That will relate to this webinar as well, and all future webinars that we host as well. But from my side, thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to engaging with you further.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you to everyone for joining. And yes, thank you very much for having us. And we look forward to seeing you again in future.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.